Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first live broadcast, video-wise, of the NLL Weekly Preview Show. Tonight, my co-host, who will be arriving shortly, will be Gary Groob. We will start discussing what needs to be done with Rochester Nighthawks as far as winning this game and forcing the 10-minute mini-game tonight against the Calgary Roughnecks. The Roughnecks went on to win last week's game to take a 1-0 lead in the game, in the series. And so you're now looking at Rochester that needs to come back, win tonight, win the 60-minute game, force the 10-minute mini game, and win that one to be the first team in the 28-year history of the league to repeat. No team has done it in the 28-year history of the league. You've had many attempts at it. You've had the Philadelphia Wings make a couple attempts. You've also had the Toronto Rock and the Buffalo Bills. But all those teams have fell short at one time or another. So, with that being said, there are a few things that really need to be done in this game for the Nighthawks. The Nighthawks really need to make sure that they do not allow Calgary to get on any type of a run. Last game, Calgary went on a 3-goal run, a 2-goal run, and just controlled the entire game. They did not allow Rochester to get in any type of a rhythm. And that's something that Rochester needs to do. They need to get into a rhythm in this game. If they fail to do that, Calgary can walk right ahead to their third title in franchise history. The first one was won in 2004, then they won a title in 2009. So obviously the Calgary team is very hungry when you look at them from top to bottom. You've got players such as Dane Doby, Curtis Dixon, Sean Evans. All three of those guys can catch on fire at any point in time during the games. So you really got to look at Rochester's defense putting some kind of a stranglehold on Dixon, on Doby, just on that the whole crew. As long as they do that, there really won't be a problem. They did it against Bandits. They allowed Steinhaus and Tavares to score 8 goals in game 1. But then they came back in that second game and they went ahead and they held them to only 2 goals total. That's what they need to do tonight with the likes of Curtis Dixon, Dane Doby, and Sean Evans. That's something that needs to be done. And right now, it looks like my special co-host, Gary Groob, has finally decided to join me. Gary, welcome to the show. Have a seat.
Thank you. What's happening?
Not much. We're on air. We're live. I just started talking about what the Nighthawks really need to do as far as stopping the Calgary Roughnecks. The way they just came out in that first game is similar to the way Buffalo did in their first game. Tavares and Steinhaus, 8 goals in that first game. Mm-hmm. The second game, which was played here, they held them to 2 goals. Of course, Dane Smith got his hat trick. No big deal, but it was nothing to be done. And then they won the 10-minute game. The 10-minute game was tied, and they went in overtime, and they won that. They kind of have to do the same thing tonight, I feel, with the likes of Dixon, Doby, Evans, and you can't leave out, of course, Shatler, Veltman. They're just loaded from top to bottom.
Even the young on transition, you got to watch him too, because he's killed teams overall all year long.
Right.
And the way I see it is, if for Rochester to come out successful tonight, what they need to do is they need to get on those goal runs. And we talked about it yesterday. They can't be a sporadic 1 here, 2 there, 1 here. It's going to kill them. Calgary's going to just eat them alive. They need to get on defense. They need to get very, very, very pinpointed. They can't be running around the floor trying to chase these guys, because it's going to be a track meet, and they're not going to win. They've been successful all year long, playing very positional, very, very tight defense, and they have to go back to basics. It's all or nothing here. So,
yeah, I mean, when you look at, we have the rosters in front of us. Calgary is loaded from top to bottom, and so is Rochester. You're looking at Jameson, Hallis, Dan Dawson. Should he be in the lineup? There's still no word on what his status is right now. We're not sure whether or not Dawson's going to be in the lineup. We've heard that it's almost 90 to 95% that Jeff Snyder, excuse me, I've forgotten the name altogether, that Jeff Snyder will not be in the lineup tonight.
Right.
So that's, I guess you could say, 1+ for the Nighthawks. But the way the faceoffs went last game, it was more, I think, like 59 to 41 or 58 to 42.
Yeah, it was a pretty much 42. A 50-50 split there, yeah. There wasn't anything.
So there was a good mixture that Calgary threw at the Nighthawks, at the X. When you have players like, with Keogh, Jameson, Palace, you're looking at them to really, explode onto the scene. I mean, but when you look down at everything, you got Joe Walters. He has 2 goals in four playoff games so far. Dan Dawson has 4 goals in the 3 games that he's played.
Yeah, he was smoking until he got hurt.
Right.
He was absolutely on fire.
McCready has 3 goals in 3 games,
including the game winner.
The game winner in the second game. Yeah. And you go further down. Cody Jameson, 6 goals in 4 games. Johnny Palace, 4 goals in 4 games. These guys have to explode, and the thing is, when they do explode, it's going to be big.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be an avalanche if they start getting themselves in gear.
And that's what we talked about for last night, and go on and really expand on it today. That if Rochester gets on this run, it's going to be a long first game.
Yes,
for Calgary.
And then the thing is, what does Calgary do?
And that
do they rest and just try and get by the avalanche, or do they try and push forward and do what they did with Edmonton?
Right, and that's
now they do have experience in that. They did have the Edmonton Avalanche, and they did actually
fight back.
They actually had the momentum going in.
Right, and that's what they had to do with. That's what Rochester's going to have to do with Calgary. If Calgary decides to sit back, okay, Rochester can't do the same thing. Rochester needs to keep the foot on the pedal.
Oh yeah, if you have your foot on the stroke, you have to go finish them.
If you're up by 10, we'll just say, if you're up by 10 goals, it's a 20-10 game, let's say, and there's 5 minutes left, and Calgary is just sitting back. If I'm Rochester,
you keep putting
I'm pumping goals in.
Yep,
I'm putting goals by Pooley.
Yep, it becomes a practice then.
Chances are they're going to take Pooley out by that point.
Right. Scigliano too.
To rest them. But you know what? Pepper their defense. If they touch the ball, hammer them.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to have to do. Edmonton failed to do that. Edmonton let Calgary gain back a little bit momentum. Yes, Edmonton won that second game. I believe it was 15-13. They got the empty net goal, but it got within 14-13, and they were up, I believe, 14-6. They were up by a substantial margin.
It was 11-2 at one point in that game. It was nuts.
Yeah, and they just came back and they carried that momentum.
They let it
and Sean Evans was the key. He got both goals in that
I just saw Sean Evans outside. I saw him, Dolby, Shepard, they're all walking together to the arena. And
everybody's
they're all looking very relaxed. You know?
Yeah, well, they all are. All the players are. I mean, they know what's at stake. They know what has to be done in this game. It's the first time you got a 2-game series and then a 10-minute mini game. Back in '98, you had the best out of 3. They did that once when the Philadelphia Wings played the Baltimore Thunder, and the Wings won both games. They won the first game in Philadelphia, then the second game was played on a Tuesday night, which made no sense whatsoever. And I mean, I remember that because I went up there. There was about 4 or 5 buses, and when I mean a mile of cars, at least 1 to 2 miles of cars going down Interstate 95 to Baltimore. They announced the attendance at 4,000. I believe 3,900 were Wings fans. And the only 100 that were in attendance for Baltimore were the crew that was working, along with the players. In all honesty, I mean, there wasn't that many, that were there. But to have it on Tuesday night was kind of, lackluster. But now they're doing this. If I get a chance to see the commissioner tonight, my one question to him is, what he's doing, the 10-minute mini game, it's fine. I like the 10-minute mini game. I'd like to see it go to 15 minutes, in all honesty. But what I would like to see first, get rid of this 2-minute intermission from the first game to this 10-minute mini. You're asking these guys, after they play a full, hard 60-minute game, especially the team that has to come back, to try to recompose themselves, try to get their fluids back in them, all within 2 minutes.
You want to give them a 15-minute intermission?
No, not 15. You go 7. You're playing a 10-minute mini game. You figure, okay, you're playing 3/4 out of 15 minutes. So your normal intermission is 15 minutes.
Right.
You take 3/4 out, which is almost about 9-10 minutes. So you can do that. Or, like I said, shorten it to 7.
Right.
Enough time for them to go back, do a game plan for that 10 minutes.
Right.
Get some fluids, oranges, whatever. Rehydrate.
Yeah, I agree.
Get a little game plan and then come out. Because then, because then what's happening after that, if that is tied, if you're tied after 10 minutes, you're getting another 2-minute intermission, and you're playing a 15-minute sudden death overtime. So you're looking at playing 60 minutes, rest 2, play 10. So you're playing 70 minutes with a rest of 2 minutes, other than what's in between the quarters, okay? Right. And you have your halftime, but now you're playing 30. You're playing 40 minutes after the half.
And there's not
a 2-minute break
for a minute's
right.
lackluster thinking.
For 2 minutes, and then if you are tied after that 10 minutes, you're going to a 15-minute sudden death overtime. And who's not to say that can go to 14:59 before team scores?
Sure.
Or further, and you're only getting 2 minutes in between there.
Right.
So what's going to happen if you go into a double sudden death? Are they taking 15 minutes, or are they giving them 2 minutes again?
Nobody knows because we haven't had that.
We haven't had that happen, right? And the likelihood of that in the game of indoor lacrosse is
very
hard.
The question I have, though, is about the carryover penalties. Now, I understand why, so that no team starts hacking and slashing at ankles with a minute left. But if we're treating it as a separate game, shouldn't we be treating it as a separate game? There's a dilemma. Me personally, I think that all bets are canceled.
Yeah, they should. But then if that's the case, then you should be able to change the rosters.
You should be able to.
But I think the way they're doing it, is the way, and I hate to use this reference, the way they're doing it in soccer. You play another, like if you're tied, like I think it's during the World Cup or whatever.
Well, they play two full.
Right, but the penalties carry over. Red cards and yellow cards or whatever, they all carry over.
Right.
And so that's how they're kind of treating it. Just like you're playing a full 10 minutes. That's how they're doing. Right. I agree that maybe the penalties.
Well, they're not treating it as a separate game. They're still keeping it as the same game.
Same game. It's just a 10-minute.
Here we're treating it as an entirely separate game, and maybe we should keep it as a separate game.
The minors, I would say yes. Maybe you wipe them off the board.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If it's a major, you keep it.
And if you're out of the game,
if you're out of the game, you're out of the game. Especially,
we can tinker with that.
Especially
rosters.
Yeah,
they can stay the same too.
Right. Yeah, rosters stay the same. Or maybe you could even do it now.
But here's the dilemma. If you get a game misconduct in the first quarter, now you're ineligible.
Right.
Should you be eligible for the 10-minute?
I would change. If you get a game misconduct within the first half, you should be allowed to play.
That makes sense too.
Now, if a player gets hurt in that first game, this is where they should be allowed to add
Right.
a player.
Mm-hmm.
If a player gets injured.
Sure, because they're at a disadvantage
Right.
entirely for them.
Right. Now, if it's a fight, no, you decide to drop the gloves, square
that's
off.
a different thing,
But,
too.
but if you get hacked,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody takes it, we'll just say
You take
cheap
a shot off
shot,
the knee or whatever.
cheap shot. You get hit by a ball. Let's say shot gets fired or whatever, and then you get injured, just like Dan Dawson did in the first game, the Buffalo game.
Yeah, that was actually the first game.
Yeah. So something like that, you should be able to go right ahead and put somebody up, dress somebody up, and put them in.
Mm-hmm.
You should, and it should go that way for either team. Major penalties, yes, let them carry over.
Yep.
The minors, wipe them off the board. Let the teams kind of regroup. Let them do what needs to be done to get things. Let's get them at their full capacity.
But I think after this year, they're going to take a look at a lot of things here and tinker around. But I think they're on the right track.
Yeah.
The one and done thing, anybody can be hot on one night. I love the fact that we're actually, 2 wins for the championship.
Yeah, and I like the idea that each team that's in the championship gets to host a game, because you're going now 18 games into the season, okay, and you're looking at my team went 12-6, and let's say let's just look at Rochester 14-4 during the regular season, Calgary 12-6. Only 2-game difference.
Right.
Okay. If it was against Edmonton, Rochester, and Edmonton, that's a 2-game swing there too, because Edmonton beat them both times in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Both teams played outstanding. It's not like one team was 5-13.
Right.
Like we had years before with the Portland Lumberjacks, and they made it to the finals. Okay. But why not have a 2-game series where each team, their fans, get to see the championship? Yeah. Yes, the team with the better record would host the second game and the 10-minute game,
which we're at,
which is right where we're at, and it's working. I think it's working great right now. I would like to get some of the fans' response, but there's not really a whole heck of a lot of people in here right now.
There will be.
There will be shortly. I know that for a fact. The stock exchange is open. It's just a matter of the people starting to come in, and when they do, it's going to be a party in here, and
it's going to be an event.
I've already been told by JD, who's taking control for John, who's away. He's on a cruise. The guy who runs here. Yeah.
Timing is everything in this world, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a little bit upset that he's missing it. They have control of, if this stays open till 7, it stays open till 7 a.m. They got
total control.
Yes.
Beautiful.
2012, I believe this was open until about 5 o'clock in the morning. They started serving breakfast. I was here then. All I remember is somehow going back to my room, waking up, and driving home. And I don't know how I got home. I was exhausted. So I mean, what happened in 2012? The team came over with the cup. I mean, it was just something to really.
Oh, it's to behold.
Yeah, behold that. I mean, and to be here today. I really have my wife to thank, who's not here yet. She's hopefully on her way over. She was like, well, no, you're not going unless I go. Okay, fine. Go with me. We have a ton of friends up here, in Rochester. And she's like, yeah, we're going. You have a chance to see history. Now, like we talked about last night, as a Philadelphia Wings fan, diehard Wings fan for 28 years, season ticket holder, everything. Do I want to see Rochester win 3 in a row? No. As a
Rock fan, same thing.
Right.
Do I want to see it?
But looking at media in quotes I put, I had to pick who I thought was going to win. And with the little changes that they had over the past 2 seasons, I picked them to go right ahead.
Here's the question. The last 2 years, they've been the dogs.
Right.
They've been coming in and sneaking
7-9. Right.
Yep.
7-9 and 8-8.
Yep. This year, they're the favorite.
Right. And they lost the first game against Buffalo.
They had a record just as good as Edmonton.
Right.
And they did it very quietly underneath the radar, but they're just as potent.
They stayed right with
them. But now they're the favorites. Now, by losing that first game and being at home now, does the news start to tighten if they don't get that quick jump?
No.
That's the question.
No, because look at what happened with Buffalo. Buffalo won that first game after losing 8 in a row. They started out 8-2 Buffalo. They lost the next 8 games. They go to Toronto, in Toronto, beat them.
Yep.
Not just eke out a soft goal that rolled past Brandon Miller
Oh, no.
or,
Oh, no.
or Rosie. They beat them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was there live to watch it.
And I know many Toronto fans were not happy. A lot of tears in the beers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one person who was very happy, and that was Troy Cordingley.
Oh yeah,
walking
he
off.
exacted revenge.
I think I saw him smiling all the way from Philadelphia. That's how big his smile was.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
As much as I said before, I hate the man because the way he coaches against you at times.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to respect him. You
But
got
the
to
team
respect
came
his
on with the
ability.
right thing. You know, they started, for 8 games, they decided that they're going back to the old Bandit style, and they fell on their faces.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in the playoffs, they realized, oh, this defensive system that he's been teaching us, it worked in the first half. Lo and behold, it worked against the Rock. Lo and behold, it worked against Rochester. My God. And they almost pulled off that upset.
Right. Now, the thing is, with the Nighthawks, they lost the first game to Buffalo, came back here in front of almost, I believe, 10,000 fans, screaming fans, in the War Memorial, and believe it's going to be the same way again tonight.
Oh, yeah.
They came back and they handled that game.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, they fell behind early in that 10-minute game.
Oh, and you
came back
McCready for that one.
Yeah, and then
it was a stunning little thing there.
And then Vitarelli coming down on the left side, his offhand,
and floated one over Cosmo.
Yeah, and I watched that play, and Cosmo just stood there, looked like he was frozen. Whether or not, I don't know if he expected Vitarelli to shoot from his offhand, because Vitarelli's a right-handed shot. He fired that left-handed, and Cosmo basically stood there.
I think when Vitarelli took a stutter step there, I think Cosmo thought he was going to wait for the offense to come on.
And back up and feed it around.
Yeah.
Because if you look at that goal, Cosmo just stood there.
Yeah.
He looked like a deer in headlights. And this is what this Rochester team can do. I mean, they earned my respect 19 years ago. Okay, 1995. I know we're going way back here. They played the Philadelphia Wings at the time in the Spectrum.
Right.
Okay, that game went into overtime, and the Wings won. Gary Gate came off the bench, came off the little pick and roll with Tom Hollywood Marichek, and fired a shot past Chugger. Chugger never seen it go by him.
Right.
It went in the net, rolled back out, and that's when Chugger moved. Okay, that's how fast that shot was by Gary Gate. That's when the team earned my respect after that season. The way they just fought. And they were there. They held their heads up. That was the team's first year in the league. And they went to the championship, and they almost won it.
Right.
Okay? They earned my respect at that point in time. So I've been not even a closet Nighthawk fan. I've been a Nighthawk fan since 1996, since they lost that championship game. From then on, just the players that they have had. You can look at it. You look at Casey Zaff, Reggie Stewart. They had Paul Gate. That was the first year him and Gary played against each other. I mean, you could just go on and on with the players they had. They have everything up here. Schiller and Brad MacArthur and the Evans brothers. I mean, you go however you want. You just look at it, and like they said with Wings fans, once a wing, always a wing. Well, it's the same thing here in Rochester. Okay, I've learned that once a Nighthawk, always a Nighthawk. Okay, and the fans here are as loyal as they come. When you come here, you're greeted like one of the family with them. They don't care if you're wearing a Wings jersey, a Toronto Rock jersey, a Calgary Roughneck jersey. Yeah, they'll ride you here and there, but then at the end it's like, okay, first round told me let's have a beer, let's do this, let's do that, and that's how it is here in Rochester. It's like that really with all the National Lacrosse League teams.
Because I've always enjoyed my stays in Philadelphia. Yeah. Loved it over there.
Oh yeah, you don't have. I mean, if you have friends in Philly, and you're coming down from Toronto, or you're coming in from Rochester, or wherever you're coming from, and you start getting harassed by somebody that basically wants to act like they want to fight you, you're going to have Philly people picking up for you, or you'll have Rochester people picking up for you. In that case, and it's all good-natured ribbing, and that's what it's about. They put this league out as a family gathering, a family atmosphere, and you know what? There's really no need for the obscene language. You want to say, "Oh yeah, you suck, you this," yeah, that's fine. Okay, you got little kids. I mean,
But you can draw the line. You don't need to be going
right?
extreme.
Exactly. I mean, just sitting here. Yeah, we're watching. People are starting to roll in to the stock exchange right now, and you got the kid maybe sitting over. I would say what, maybe 6 years old. He's got a nice little T-shirt on. He's looking forward to this. Okay, I mean, he's got a chance to
This
see.
is the event.
He's got a chance to see history here in the making at his young age. Okay, I've had tickets for 28 years. I haven't seen it. I've seen teams come close. The Wings came close twice, and they got beaten overtime twice by Buffalo.
I believe the Wings stopped the Rock from their five in a row. Did they?
Think about it. The Rock won it in '99 and 2000. The Wings won it in 2001. Then the Rock came back in 2 and 3. So you're looking at Toronto could have possibly won that 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
The Wings could have won it 4 years in a row because in '92 and '93 they won it. No, Buffalo won '92, '93. Wings it was 85, 89, 90.
Right.
Okay, they didn't make the playoffs in '91. '92 and '93, Buffalo beat them both times in overtime. '94 they won, '95 they won. That could have been 4 in a row right there for the Wings. It's a matter of inches. It's a matter of just the balls just squeaking by. One lucky bounce here. You throw a rug burner, as they call it.
I'm always reminded, though, when I go to Philadelphia, because that Toronto championship hat of 2001, the fictitious hat keeps floating around there every time I'm there, driving me crazy.
A friend of mine, Ryan Parsons, actually
has
that. He bought the hat.
He kept showing, there you go,
yes.
there it is. No, I'll just keep wearing it every time I seem to put it on.
Yes.
We seem to beat you. It's like, great.
But the best part of that game was the Wings were up. It was 9-7 with about 10 seconds to go. I believe it was Colin Doyle coming down the floor. Dallas is in the net, and he's just looking up at the clock. And he's counting down 4. He sees 3 seconds as Doyle takes the shot. Dallas just stood there with his arms on the back of the crossbar and just stood there. Like that, scored.
Yeah.
Doyle was all happy he scored. When Doyle turned around and saw the clock, you could read his lips. You knew what he was saying because there was no way at that point.
Not a chance.
That was like, I didn't score. Yeah, that's more enjoyable for a team than making a last-second save on that. Just go ahead.
Whatever.
Yeah, scored. Yeah, yell, scream, turn around, look at the clock. 3 seconds. Oh no, well, that's it. And that's what it is. You have a bounce here, a bounce there. The old rug burner, the ball can spin on the floor.
And you have the Caleb Holt thing, right, with 1 second left against Rochester.
Yes.
And the old Maple Leaf Gardens, and that was allowed. My God. I
love
games in there.
And that's why tonight it's going to be the same thing. I mean, I said it before. I think Rochester's going to win this game. It's going to be, I believe, a three-goal lead. They're going to win this. They're going to keep the momentum going. That's what they need to do. They know what they need to do in their house, in their barn, in the War Memorial. They got to keep the fans constantly in this game. If they don't keep the fans in it, it could be a long night for the Nighthawks.
Oh yeah.
It could very well be a long night. Calgary takes them out of it.
A little bit of last game.
Yeah,
Matt Vince is the one who has to stay focused.
Yeah.
He can't start going around these things and trying to play third defenseman.
Right. Well, he was trying, I think, to try to pump up the team a little bit.
That could have resulted in one hell of a change if he got injured.
Yeah.
Twisted a knee or got hit incorrectly.
Yeah, the way he got hit up in the chest, and the mask came off. Yeah. So who's not saying maybe an iron stick might have got him?
What happens if he takes a 5-minute penalty on that and sits in the box for those 5?
Yeah, and he would. That's just what would happen. He would be, major.
Actually,
yeah.
But,
well, no, it was a clean hit. He came out. He had played the ball. He hit him. He didn't hit him from behind.
He starts swinging.
Right.
And doesn't get a penalty. So.
It's all what the ref sees. I mean, and we know that. It's.
You got 6 eyes.
It happens.
Nobody saw
nothing. Right.
Yeah.
It happens on both sides of the ball. You got
Doug Gilmore comes out shaving, right?
Yes. you got 3 officials out there, and for them to miss anything, you just got to kind of.
Especially where the ball is.
Yeah.
Which is completely mind blowing, but.
Yeah. And I know talking to some of the players on the Philadelphia Wings and even some of the Nighthawks, when we're sitting in the stands, we see it one way. the players see it
Mm-hmm.
another way. And, a number of times I talked to Brett Manning, defenseman for the Wings. I'm sitting in my seat and I see this. How did that happen? Why couldn't you? And he says, well, what happened was that, it's totally different things that you can't see. Like you're looking and the guy's leaning up against you. Okay, why don't you just roll off and go? I couldn't because he put his inside foot up against me. He kind of had it a little bit, kept me off balance. So I couldn't do that. Something that you can't see as a fan.
Sure.
So things like that.
That's the veteran prowess.
Right. And now we'll get back into for tonight's game. What does Calgary need to do? We know they need to take the fans out of the game.
That's first and foremost. They have to take this loud barn completely out of it. But they need to do what they did last week, and that is they need to take Rochester off their game. They need to take Matt Vince off his game. They need to be very, 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 very disciplined. The defense can't take dumb penalties. They have to play their lines. They have to block the lanes. They can't be chasing around, just like Rochester. They can't be getting into track meets with their forwards. They need to be in position and playing their zone kind of thing. Let Poulin see the shot. He'll stop it. Don't let them inside. If you start letting guys inside and you're asking for a whole lot of trouble, you can't let Rochester get on those 6 and 7 goal runs, and we've experienced that in Toronto many, many times. We've watched ourselves snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, and they can't afford to do that. And if they give Rochester an inch, they're going to run. So you cannot do any of that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on there. Their defense has to shut down the Rochester offense. Just what Rochester did to Buffalo in that series, shutting down the bars and Steenhouse. Calgary's defense has to shut down likes of Johnny Pallas, Cody Jamieson, Stephen Keogh. They got to say, okay, we're going to shut these guys down. You want to beat us? You're going to have to beat us.
Well, they have to make Jamieson an absolute non-factor because everything goes through him. He's the Billings of Rochester.
Yeah.
If you make him a non-factor and start having the ball have to go elsewhere, I don't think that's in the game plan. So that starts making things go a little bit awry.
Right, and then
people start gripping the stick a little stuff.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: if you shut down Jameson, let's say from scoring, he could still dish the ball for those assists, and you have players, Pallas, Keogh, and we'll even go as far as maybe say Joel McCready. But you got to sit. Or no, I'm sorry.
Well, you got Keogh out there also.
Right, Keogh, and you have Walters who can put the ball in the net as well. He can get on the hot streak. So they have to not only shut Jameson down, but you're looking at them shutting Pallas down, Keogh, and possibly even Joe Walters. Okay, and say, okay, if you want to beat us, you're going to have to beat us with Corey Vitarelli, Joel McCready, guys. Your second line scores.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying that McCready can't put the ball in the net.
Sure they can. They're not the top.
Right.
Yep.
They're not. You have your Cody Jamiesons, and you have Joel McCready. Okay, McCready is I'd love to have him on the Philadelphia Wings. Okay, I love him as a player. He's one of my favorite Nighthawks. Okay, I just like the style of game that he plays.
I loved Uncle when he was on the Rock.
Yeah, so I mean that's how you're looking at them playing. You got to take out the main scores and say, be us with the other guys, just like Rochester do. Buffalo, they said, okay, we're shutting down Steenhouse and JT. You're gonna have to beat us with Dane Smith, who had 3 in that game, and
more importantly, they made Benesh non-factor.
Exactly.
That was the one. Everybody wondered why Minnesota tanked. Well, Benesh being away from Minnesota, there's your reason. Yeah. Why did Buffalo pick it up all of a sudden? Well, there's your reason. He's a playmaker, and all of a sudden in the playoff game against Toronto, he was a scorer. He seemed to be standing alone with a cup of coffee behind all the defense at all times. So, you were able to shut him down. The same thing has to happen here. They have to make these guys, the first lines, the front line guys, non-entities.
And he had 7 goals in that Toronto game. And then he was quiet there. I mean, you're looking at them, like I said, they shut down Steenhouse and JT, and they said, okay, you're going to have to beat us with Dane Smith and Jamie Rooney. That second game, 5 of their 8 goals, 3 from Dane Smith, 2 from Jamie Rooney. That was it. And then a goal each from Steinhaus and Tavares. I think it was Tavares had the other goal. That was it. They shut the main component down. They shut the main valve off. That's what they did.
And if you do that with anything else, it stops.
It's going to happen. And that's what Calgary's going to have to do tonight, like you said, and Poolin's going to have to be on his game. He's going to have to put up that Poolin wall, as he used to say it was in the early stages of his career. Time to put up the Poolin wall.
They're going to have to play every bit as good as last week at home,
right?
And that much better,
yes,
because they're here in Rochester in this insane asylum.
And anything can happen. I seen it in 2012. The Edmonton Rush were up 5-1 at the end of the first half. Rochester outscored 8-1 in the second half. Won at 9-6. Good friend of mine who runs Rochester Fan Club, the Nighthawks Fan Club, Tim Nabber. They know him as Nabber. His name's Tim Nabber. I looked at him at that half and I said, I was like, Timmy, what's going on? He's like, don't worry, we got this. I'm not worried. We got this. They got it.
That was the Edmonton one also. Wasn't it 6-1 Edmonton at the half?
It was 5-1.
5-1.
And it was 9-6 final.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a tale of two games.
That's
you can't give an inch.
Tonight.
You can't give an inch.
And Calgary needs to, like you said, play carbon copy of last week and then some.
And they were, even at times, undisciplined there.
Yeah.
And they need to have absolute discipline. Nothing to the box. Nothing even a hint to the box.
No.
You're going to give these guys power plays, they're going to make you pay. There's no two ways about it. And they know that this is where all the marbles are.
And just looking around, I mean, you're starting to see the people starting to slowly come in.
Yeah, we see some Calgary fans here.
See a Calgary fan already got their food, having their Shatler jersey on.
Oh, yeah.
77. Well, no,
that is he's a
77.
Shatler.
Yeah, okay.
It's an older jersey.
Yeah, so okay, yeah, because I was going to say, because Rangers 71. Yeah. The older Roughneck jersey. So we've got a Calgary fan that made the trip, obviously. Or they could be from Toronto and be a Calgary fan. Don't know, but they made the trip, and they're welcome here. I'm pretty sure a bunch of Nighthawk fans will come over, say hello to them.
I'm renting the West Coast for the evening. What can I say?
Yeah. And like I said, you look around, people starting to come in. Who's got their, got
Caleb Toth
jersey there. Who's got a Shatler jersey? You got your Nighthawk fans here. Some with their T-shirts on right now, and I know some will be putting on the jersey that they'll wear for championship games. Who's got you got a Timmy Sudan jersey. Or you got two of them actually.
Yep.
You got a purple one and
the green one,
the teal and black. It's just you got all different things going on in here, and it's we got still 2 hours and 15 minutes before the game actually starts, and it's going to be.
Well, the atmosphere in the next hour is going to be.
In here it's going to be unreal. People are going to start coming in. They'll start coming in probably around 6. But the game starts at 8 tonight, and it's just. I don't know. It's the words just can't. You have to experience it. Yeah, people are going to watch it on ESPN3,
TSN2,
TSN2. In Rochester, Time Warner is showing it. I believe in Rochester, Channel 26. But you know what? If you're in Rochester,
and you're not,
I'm sorry, get your ass to the arena.
Yes.
Please.
Why are you watching it on TV?
It's $25 for a ticket. I think $25 for a ticket. I drove 5 hours.
I just drove
from
3.
Philly here. Okay. If you live in Rochester, get to the game. If you've never seen the game of indoor lacrosse, and now, okay, we got an Evans jersey that showed up. One of our good friends, Petra, who showed up with her daughter. So I mean, it's just one big happy family here, and that's
and a collector's edition of Scott Evans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just unreal. And
like I said last night, his brief stint in Edmonton, he played a beautiful left press box.
Yeah, and believe it or not, when that game was over, he actually came over here in 2012. Congratulated all the guys around.
I liked him. I liked him last year when he was in Toronto because he stood up for us.
And he stayed here. Yeah. He stayed here and partied with everybody. Even though, his team lost, he still was here, congratulated everybody, and everybody was just...
But that's the league.
Yes,
the league itself.
That's how it,
that's what it's set up to be. That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we know what Calgary needs to do. Carbon copy of last week, and then some. Pool needs to just be stellar. There can't be any soft goals by Pool. Let it. Rochester, they need to start pumping the ball past Pool.
Yes. That's
they need to crash the net do whatever they need to do.
They need to get into his head very quickly.
Yes.
Because if you let him gain confidence, he's going to be a nightmare in the second half.
Just like if Vito gets
Vito
gets his confidence built up.
You start seeing him dancing around after Rochester goals.
Yes. There's that confidence is building and building and building. Every time, every save he makes, he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Calgary hopes it's the Toronto Rock syndrome of the Orlando Titans fans.
Yes.
Where it didn't matter what he did, he was snake bit. Snake bit with everything. It doesn't matter who threw the ball at him either.
Right, but he's not 3-time goalie of the year for nothing.
Oh no.
So
he's been the class act of the league.
Yeah, and you could expect nothing less from him.
It's all on the line now, so you know you're going to get the game of games.
Yes, it's just going to, it's all on the line tonight. The season ends tonight. Okay, as the song I played in the beginning, right now. Okay, it's right here and now. It means everything.
Yeah, there is no tomorrow.
Right. It's just how it is. They need to get, like you said, in the pool's head. If they have to dive across the crease and get a 2-minute goalie interference call, do it.
That's worth it.
Okay, if it gets into his head and he's going to hesitate, jump back a little bit, or what have you, the next time somebody dives across, whether Palace dives across or Keogh dives across again.
A number of years ago now, it was a hockey play. It was Wendell Clark against Curtis Joseph. This is Game 7.
Yep.
And intentionally, he wasn't looking to score.
No.
He put that puck off of Joseph's mask, knocked the mask clear off his head.
Yep.
Joseph was nowhere to be found the rest of that game. That was the end of it.
He was afraid.
I think it was 6 or 8-0 by the time that game was over. He was done.
Yep. And that's what.
And that was the message.
And that's what they need to do.
They need to do that tonight.
The point. Yep. I mean, you don't want. I'm not saying, dive across the crease, take a run at the guy, and knock him down. Or anything.
No, you can send a message.
Just dive across the crease. You can dive across the front of it, the edge of it. All the goalies hate that. Okay, just do that. And even when you fall, you roll a little bit and just nudge him a little bit. That'll get to him. Don't hurt him. You don't need to.
If you can gauge a reaction, you might even be able to get a penalty and go on a power play.
Exactly.
Just by getting into his head.
Just you do that. That's what they need to do. All their young guns need to fire. They need to get separation. They need to extend their arms. They need to extend their hands. Calgary stays on their hands, they're not going to be able to do anything. And that's why I think.
Well, that comes down to the defensive positioning. It has to be in there.
And it's going to be very big. I mean, if Dan Dawson's in this game, that's going to be yes. I mean, you get Dan Dawson out there, stands I believe 6'4", 6'6". Okay, and a reach of a man that's 6'6".
But he's got the hands of someone who sticks him in Palmolive daily.
Yes.
He's got the softest hands to do anything you want to do.
Yeah, the feminine side's coming out of here now. Yeah, he's got the real soft hands. But it's the truth. I mean, you could throw a brick at him, and he'll catch it like it's a feather. And that's just how he is.
He'll be able to quick score.
Yeah, I mean, so if he's in this game, that's going to add a dimension that Calgary hasn't seen. In that first game,
and may not be able to defend.
Right. I mean, even if he's now knowing Dan the way I do from him playing in Philly and watching his career, if he's 80% to go, we'll be dressed up. We'll be in that lineup.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be out there. I hate to see a player of his caliber miss the game like this, but unfortunately, of a concussion. But we don't know what his status, the severity of it is. The team doesn't tell you, the league doesn't tell you what the severity is. So it's like, it's going to be like a game time decision. And, I think it might be a good idea, they start letting you know.
But you got to look at the health of the player.
Now, we have the program here in front of us, and I was looking through it. It said something about Jamie Hopcroft in the lineup. Now, could that be for Dan Dawson? Don't know. But when you speak of Dawson, you got to look at Paul Dawson on defense. He's got to step up big.
Yeah, and he can't be a liability. He can't be taking dopey penalties. He can't be going and getting into these sidebar things which get him in fighting majors. And,
well, I think without Snyder in the lineup, that's going to help.
Yeah, that'll help keep Vince focused too, because you know that if he was in the lineup, the first thing they're going to send him is get in there and just attack.
Because he's a pit bull. And it stops the the onslaught of, say, Snyder picking up the ball and rushing it right down the floor, taking a shot on goal, which he does, which he can do a lot. So,
and also winning 78% of faceoffs.
yeah, that gives you extra possessions. Doesn't guarantee you
doesn't
a goal,
guarantee anything, but you know,
it gives,
you can score a lot easier with the ball.
Right. It puts
Last time
defense
I
out
checked.
there more
And it also makes
your
the
offense.
defense more tired, prone to mistakes.
Right. And your offense is twiddling its thumbs, not getting into the rhythm, and they're waiting to get out on the floor.
Plus, your offense is also warm.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there, everybody's moving.
Touching the ball, moving around 5-6 times before they take a shot.
Any butterfly is gone.
Yeah. And
if you need somebody to motivate, he's there too.
He's there, yeah. And that's what I think with Rochester, what they need to do. They need to get these guns going. They need Joe Walters. They need Jameson, Powell, Keogh. They need to get them off and running early. If Calgary pumps in 2 in a row, they need to come out and shoot out 3 in a row. They can't go 1 and then wait a little bit and then maybe get another one later on. They need to come right back on. Yeah. They can't.
Yeah, they have to get in runs. They have to get in runs. If they do spits and starts, they're not going to do anything there because Calgary is never going to come back.
2 here, 3 here, 2 here.
And if you're going to do 1 against them, we're going to have a repeat of last week.
Yeah, and it
was just so interesting that the ignition never really got started.
Yeah,
and it was a great, absolutely terrific game plan.
Yeah.
Now, Rochester's aware of it. Can you still produce that same kind of game?
And what will Calgary do should Rochester get it in gear? How will they respond? Rochester kicks it in the gear.
But I give Morosky a lot of credit. I think he's also got a few things up his sleeve.
Oh yeah.
You look at their roster, and they have an awful lot of people.
He has to play them the titles for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just a matter of you look at it now and say, okay, Rochester's now clicking on all cylinders. Their gas tank is full, car is finally tuned. They're running smoothly down that highway. What kind of roadblock are you putting up to stop it? You got an 8-lane highway. You could only block 4 lanes. How do you stop in the other 4?
Well, that's easy. That's the potholes that I drove around.
Yeah.
Get up here.
I mean, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be tough if you get a team on a roll like Rochester.
Yeah,
it's very hard to stop them. Just like it's very hard to stop a team like Calgary.
If you get Dovey, Shatler starting to move that ball, and Evans, you can start getting Evans being a catalyst. If you start getting that thing rolling there, now you got a lot of problems on the other end too. So which means this could actually wind up being a shootout. Yeah, even with the great defenses on both sides, I think the offenses are going to trump it.
And if it's a shootout, it's going to go down to the left. Whoever has the ball last. It's going to win the game. I mean, it's just you can match up with players. You go your 3-headed monster and then 1. So you go Evans, Dovey, Dixon, and Shatler. There's your 4. Now you go to 4 on Rochester. Jameson, Palace, Keogh, and if Dawson's in the lineup, you have Dawson. If not, you got Walters.
Vittorelli. Name your 4th guy.
Yeah. So it's so even there. Where you got to look at strong second units, and that's where Belton comes in for Calgary. Joel McCready comes in
Dinsdale
for Rochester.
Calgary also.
Dinsdale, Young. Yeah. You just got like I said, Vittorelli, even Brad Self.
But then it starts coming down to transition.
Yeah.
The Federich, things like that. On transition, it's
right.
It's which comes back with Vittorelli. Being that you can't forget about that overtime goal.
Scott Campbell, another one. He can. Defense transition. He can put that ball in the net. He can do all that. It's going to be.
That's the beauty of this. You probably have, all kudos to Edmonton for this year, but you probably have the 2 best teams in the league right now playing each other for this thing.
The best solid teams all around.
Oh yeah, all around. From back to front, front to back, and everywhere in between, including transition and coaching. I think you got the best 2 teams hammering together tonight. So, somehow this 18-game season found a way to make it work correctly.
And
the right guys are here.
And I was saying in the beginning of the season, you had Edmonton go on a 14-0 run. Okay, they very rarely played from behind in the game. Okay, You don't know how they're going to respond when they fall behind. Behind against Colorado, they lost that game. They didn't know what to do. They were a deer in headlights. They didn't know which way to go. The following day, they're in Calgary.
They almost lose that one.
Right, and then they come back, and then
later,
they did lose. They did lose at home to Calgary. Not in Calgary. They lost at home to Calgary. So you don't know how the team can actually respond to that. 14-0.
The funny thing was that we talked about
they basically hosted.
But that was the turn point for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Edmonton and Colorado.
And Colorado, because Colorado became out of
a
nowhere.
very viable team, and they almost beat Calgary.
They're going to be dangerous next year because now you got Dylan Ward.
Well, plus you have the former Rock guys as the coaches, and as soon as they took over, up they went.
And I think with Dylan Ward, he's going to be the number 1 man.
I think so too.
And it's just a matter of now, what are they going to do with Ty Bellinger? Is he going to be happy being the backup? Or is he going to want to look maybe...
Well, Minnesota's always looking for another guy since they got rid of Evan Kirk.
But that's another story. That's what Minnesota's been doing, though.
Yeah.
They had Carlson and Kirk.
They
had Carlson and Kirk alternating every other game. Now they got Carlson and... and it's just... And they're alternating every game. So they don't have a solid number 1.
They have a lot of pieces, too.
Yeah.
If they're able to actually get something be cohesive, and with Logan Schuss, how long can you hold him back?
Right.
McIntosh. These are viable pieces anywhere would be. The Rock would kill to get Jordan McIntosh to win a faceoff. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Because in Toronto we haven't seen one in about 5 years, I think.
Yeah, we'll give our predictions at the end of the show in the next couple minutes. But yeah, when we talk about everything going on in the league, you're looking at Minnesota, who got all these draft picks, and they're doing really great. Everybody's saying now, Logan should be Rookie of the Year. Dylan Ward puts up some big numbers. He was put in,
but he was also
the first 6 games.
That game.
He's basically saved the season. Even though they started off, I think it was 2-7.
Yep.
He was brought in the first 6 games in relief. Mm-hmm. Okay, he got pegged with 3 of those losses after the team came back and tied the game. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up losing. So he got tagged with those losses because they tied the game with him in his net. Then after that, he started being the starter. And he got everyone except for one, and that's because Ty Bellinger came into the game with 5 minutes to go, and that was against Philly.
Yep.
Other than that, it's been all Dylan Ward. And, I talked to him during the summer. They had a charity event for the college that he was assistant coach for. And he was just looking forward to getting into action. He didn't care if he was number 1, number 2. He's just going to go out there, play his best, and then let the chips fall where they may. Mm-hmm. That's it. Well, he did.
And he gave it everything. And
I think he's got to be the front runner for Rookie of the Year.
I think so.
Nothing against Logan Schuss, but you look.
When you're playing with nothing going on,
right,
and there's no pressure.
Well, you can even look at the rookie Philadelphia has, Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
he had a fantastic season.
At times there was brilliant.
20+ goal scorer.
You wondered if he'd ever play box,
right?
Because at times
he looked lost at times. But 20+ goal scorer.
When he was actually focused, he was killing us.
Yeah, 20+ goals he got. So what are you going to do? All right, we're coming to the end. We talked about this last night.
Yep.
What we think is going to happen. So I know what your pick was last night. I doubt your mind changed at all.
No.
So
I said it was 12-10 last night, with an empty net goal being a 12th one. I'm holding true. Calgary. I'm thinking that they can just pull it enough. The game plan goes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3-goal, 12-9, 13-10 in favor of Rochester. That third goal being an empty netter. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see them carrying the momentum into that 10-minute period. Should they carry that momentum into it, they could win that. If they allow Calgary to come back in that game and get a little momentum, it's going to be tough. But I see them repeating. Yeah. I see a three-peat happening, and it's going to be the Rochester Nighthawks, first time in 28-year history of the NLL. I mean, speaking as a media person, we'll say, that's what my selection is. As like I said before, as a Philadelphia Wing fan, I don't want to see him do it. So I'm kind of like in a win-win situation, you could say.
Or lose, depending
You know,
on
I mean, it's going to be tough. Either way, it's going to be one hell of a game. If you're in Rochester,
or anywhere near Rochester. If you're in Buffalo.
It's only an hour
okay.
drive. It's 6 o'clock. You got 2 hours. You could get here. Get your ticket.
It's going to be electric. It's going to be off the rails.
You got a chance to see history. So there you have it. Gary's going with Calgary to win their third title, first one since 2009. I'm going with the Rochester Nighthawks to three-peat. If they do, they do. If they don't, hey, as a Philadelphia Wings fan, I'll be happy. But if they do it, the stock exchange here in Rochester is going to be jumping tonight.
So will Main Street.
Yeah,
so Broad Street.
It may be jumping anyway.
Plymouth will be jumping
regardless. But for anybody that's out of town, people from Buffalo, Toronto, any of the teams that you come into Rochester, if you've never been to the Stock Exchange restaurant, get here. John, the owner, he's unfortunately away on a cruise, but they have a great staff here, fantastic food, drink specials, everything. The fans here will accept you no matter what jersey you're wearing. I mean, we just seen a couple of Calgary fans now sitting with a bunch of Rochester fans, all sharing a couple drinks, some food, talking, just having a grand old time. And that's what it's about here.
We have the Wings and the Rocks sitting here side by side, enjoying each other.
Yeah, but imagine that, okay? we're all family here, and that's how it is throughout the entire league. We hate each other during the games, but after the game's over,
yeah, we can only hate for 2.5 hours at a time.
Have a beer of your choice and just enjoy. So, for my co-host, Gary Groob, my name is Rocco Granato. I thank you for tuning in to the NLL Preview Show, Championship Edition. This will be the last weekend of the NLL season. I will do a season recap next week. I don't know if it's going to be Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure what day yet. Most likely probably on Saturday afternoon, probably around noontime. Do a full season recap, go over the ups and downs of each team, recap this championship game. So, again, my co-host Gary Groob, my name is Rocco Granato. I thank you for tuning in. If you're not making it to the game in the U.S., watch it on ESPN3, in Canada, TSN2, and in Rochester. If you live in Rochester, I'm not even going to tell you what station it's on because you should be down here. You should be
over at the Blue Cross Arena.
You should be down here, plain and simple. So, with that being said, have a great night, everybody. Great weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week. If we have a little audio problem, which would be nice to work. I just love technology anymore.
Oh, there they are.
There we go.